What if I told you that some of the most powerful fat loss tools available to you right now have absolutely nothing to do with what you eat or how much you exercise? Today, I'm going to share 6 things that can move the needle with fat loss, and I'm willing to bet that almost all of them have never even crossed your mind. And I'm going to show you how you can start using them today in real life without adding a single complicated thing to your already full plate. And number 4 is something that most women are completely ignoring, and it might be the reason why your results have stalled, even though you're doing everything else right. So here's what we're getting into today. The number 1 fat loss tool, and it's completely free, and most women are chronically underusing it. A hormone that's quietly storing your belly fat, and this doesn't have anything to do with estrogen. A simple 10-minute practice that activates your body's own fat burning system, and something that's probably in your kitchen right now that could be making fat loss harder. And this is all real information with practical application with no overwhelm. If you're new here, I'm Jenny Tonin, and I'm a holistic nutritionist, and I work specifically with women in perimenopause and menopause, women who are doing the things, who are watching what they eat and moving their bodies and still not getting the results that they want and that they deserve. And what I've found time and time again working with clients is that the missing pieces are so often not about food and exercise. They're about these deeper physiological levers, the ones that no one in the conventional health and fitness space are talking about. Now, I don't only know this stuff, I have lived it. I have walked this path my own. I have had my own struggle for way too long with excess weight and not getting results. So I know firsthand what it feels like, how frustrating and at times devastatingly upsetting and maddening it can feel to think that you are doing everything right for your body and just like your body isn't cooperating with you. But once I learned about these underlying factors that I'm sharing with you today and started applying them to my life, well, things started moving for me in a way that they never had before. So let's start with the one that sounds often most appealing and is one of the most underestimated things. I want to be clear here. Sleep is not a luxury. It's not something that you have to earn or that you only should be concerned about if you're trying to recover from a grueling workout. After you turn 40, more than ever, sleep becomes a metabolic requirement. So when you don't get enough sleep, there are 2 hormones that can go completely off the rails. The first one is ghrelin, and that's your main hunger hormone. Well, it spikes when you don't get enough good quality sleep. The other one is leptin, and that's a fullness hormone. It's what helps to keep you feeling happy and full and satisfied after your meal, so you're not rummaging in the cupboards an hour after you ate. And these hormones can be why you feel ravenous after a night of bad sleep. This is not some kind of weakness that you have. It's literally chemistry, but it goes even deeper than that. Poor sleep directly elevates cortisol, and elevated cortisol levels, they're a signal for your body to store fat, specifically the fat that none of us want around our midsection. But cortisol does other things too that we don't want. It breaks down muscle tissue, which is the last thing that we want after 40. And studies repeatedly show that women who consistently get under 7 hours of sleep at night are much more likely to struggle with weight loss, even when they're on the exact same diet as women who sleep well. Same food, worse results. And it's just from that difference in sleep. So what actually moves the needle? Well, a consistent wake time every day. And I know that's not the most popular thing to hear, but getting up even on your days off at the same time helps dramatically. So does sleeping in a cool, dark room, avoiding screens for at least 30 to 60 minutes before you go to bed at night, and not eating too close to bedtime so that your body can shift into repair mode while you're sleeping instead of being in digestion mode. So sleep affects cortisol, but there's another way that cortisol is being driven up that has nothing to do with sleep. And this is one that really surprised me when I first learned about it. So you've probably heard about how stress can make you fat, but I want to be sure that you actually understand the mechanism, because once you do, you are not going to look at stress the same. So when you're stressed, be that work, relationship, your schedule, finances, the mental load of taking care of everything all at once, like so many of us women in midlife do. Well, when all of those things are happening, your body releases cortisol. And cortisol is a survival hormone. It's not all bad. It does get a bad rap, but its job is to help keep you alive, to prepare you to literally fight or flight. So one of the things that cortisol does is it raises your blood sugar for quick energy. It suppresses your digestion and signals your body to hold on to fat, especially that visceral fat and that fat around the belly. And on top of that, when you're in perimenopause, dropping estrogen makes us dramatically more sensitive to the effects of cortisol. So the same life stress that you handled fine at 35 is hitting your body very differently at 45 or 50. This isn't just in your head. This is your biology. Now, here are 2 techniques that can help bring cortisol down fast. And I mean within minutes. The first one is rather self-explanatory. It's called legs up the wall. You literally lie down and you put your legs up the wall and you breathe for 10 minutes. This passive inversion activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest mode. And that directly counteracts your fight or flight mode, your stress response. The second one is something called 4-7-8 breathing. You simply inhale through your nose, tongue pressed against the roof of your mouth for the count of 4. You then hold your breath for the count of 7, and then you slowly exhale through your mouth, keeping your tongue pressed against the roof of your mouth to the count of 8. You repeat this for a total of 4 rounds, and it takes only a couple of minutes. You can pretty much do it anywhere at any time. And this simple exercise directly activates something called your vagus nerve and down regulates cortisol in real time. And both of these tools, they're free and they're pretty much accessible anytime, anywhere. Both take less than 10 minutes and both can work incredibly well. So now that we've covered what's happening hormonally, now I want to show you something that's physical, a system in your body that most women have never even thought about. And it could be the reason why everything feels stuck, even when you're doing all the other right things. Your lymphatic system is literally your body's internal drainage and waste removal system. It's a network in your body that clears out toxins, excess fluid, metabolic byproducts, and immune waste. But here's the problem. So unlike your cardiovascular system that has your heart to push things along, there's no pump in your lymphatic system. It moves entirely through muscular movement and breath. And when things get sluggish, which is incredibly common for women who are sitting and sedentary for long periods, like when you're at work, for women who are under chronic stress, or who just aren't moving as much as their body would like them to move, things can get backed up. And this can show up in a variety of ways. Things like puffiness, bloating, stubborn weight that won't shift no matter what you do. The most effective way to get your lymph system moving is to move your body. And I get it. I know that, like me, you have a busy schedule and a full plate. So getting in consistent workouts can feel overwhelming and like a real struggle. But the most effective way to get things moving is to get a mini trampoline, aka a rebounder, and simply bounce on it for as little as 10 minutes a day. And rebounding is one of the most powerful lymphatic stimulators that there is. That gentle up and down bouncing motion combined with gravity changing direction is uniquely effective in a way that almost nothing else is. Now, there are lots of other ways that you can get your lymph moving if you don't have or don't want a rebounder. Dry brushing can help before you take a shower. Always brushing in gentle motions from the outer area in towards the center, and contrast showers where you literally alternate from hot to cool in your shower a few times, always being sure that you end on cool. And if you want me to show you how to do any of these techniques, let me know in the comments below and I'm happy to make a video that demonstrates this. I use them all pretty regularly. None of them are complicated and they all can work really well depending on what you prefer and what your schedule allows for. And speaking of simple techniques, what I'm about to share literally takes 30 seconds, but the research behind it is genuinely impressive. And that's cold exposure. I know that sounds extreme, but I promise it doesn't have to be. Now, when we think of fat in our body, we just think fat is fat, but your body actually has a couple of types of fat. There's white fat and there's brown fat. White fat, you can think of like storage fat. That's energy to be saved basically for an emergency. That's the kind of fat that we're all wanting to lose. But brown fat is different. Brown fat is what's called metabolically active fat. Brown fat generates heat by burning calories. Brown fat is fat that literally burns fat. So we want more of this. Babies have tons of brown fat. And when you have cold exposure, it can activate brown fat. It can convert some white fat into brown fat. And I promise I'm not asking you to do an ice bath. Quite the opposite, in fact, because for most women in midlife, ice baths are too much of a stressor. I had a whole experience with that if you're curious about it, I can let you know in a future video. But simply all you need to do is end your shower with a blast of cold that lasts between 30 and 60 seconds. And that's enough time to start activating that brown fat system. Cold exposure not only activates that brown fat, but it can also improve insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation, stimulate your lymph, and trigger a significant dopamine response, which is why people who do it consistently say that they feel better in the day afterward. There's countless claims of having more energy, better mood, sharper focus. I'm talking about 30 to 60 seconds at the end of your shower. And it's really invigorating for your skin as well. So it's a great beauty hack. But that's it. Just start there. Now, here's the one shift that has surprised more clients than anything else, because this is not about what you're doing, but it's about what's in your environment that's quietly working against you. Now, before I get into these last 2 points, and they are important ones, I want to quickly mention something. If what we're talking about today resonates with you, the idea of working with your body instead of fighting against it, addressing the root causes instead of just the surface symptoms, I have a 21-day program called Becoming that does just that. It's built specifically for women in midlife, and it goes deep on all of these layers: body, mindset, nervous system. The waitlist link is in the description, so come take a look if you're interested. Okay, so 2 more things, and these are good ones. Now, this is something that most people have not heard about, and it can matter more than almost anything else on the list, and it's becoming more important every passing year. There is a category of chemical compounds that are called obesogens. So these are substances that are found in plastics, pesticides, personal care products, and household cleaners. They're everywhere around us. And these obesogens can disrupt your hormone system, your endocrine system. Specifically, they're known to interfere with estrogen, your thyroid hormones, and insulin signaling. Now, for women in perimenopause and menopause who are already dealing with significant hormonal flux, additional estrogenic compounds coming from the environment can quietly worsen that hormonal imbalance and can make fat loss significantly harder. And most of us have no idea that this is happening. Now, it can get overwhelming if you start looking into it, but the good news is you don't have to overhaul your entire home. So there are small swaps that you can make to things that you're exposed to on a regular basis that can make a huge difference. So making simple changes like changing your food storage containers away from plastic and instead using glass or stainless steel, filtering your drinking water, and swapping out synthetic fragrances. So this is a sneaky one. It's in candles, it's in cleaning products, it's in your toiletries, in your cosmetic, air fresheners. So choosing fragrance-free or naturally scented versions that are only using essential oils are the easiest ways to do this. And if your budget allows, choosing organic foods as much as possible, especially when it comes to high pesticide produce, things like strawberries, spinach, apples, grapes. So if that feels overwhelming, I get it. start with your food and your water. That's enough for now, and slowly buy new products that are healthier versions without these obesogenic compounds in them. And finally, there's number 6, which is about strategic supplementation. And I want to be really specific on this one because most of what's being marketed as fat loss supplements, it's all noise. It has you spending a lot of money for little return. But there are some supplements with real evidence behind them. Now, I want to be clear up front because supplements is a loaded topic, and it's not a magic pill, and it's not a shortcut that's going to allow you to eat whatever you want and still lose weight. I don't care who's telling you that. They're wrong. Strategic supplements can work when the foundation is intact. So that's things like sleep, stress management, movement, and eating sufficient quantities of real food. Those need to be in place first. But when they are, a few of these supplements can help to make a meaningful difference and really start to move the needle. So one of my favorites is magnesium, specifically magnesium in the form of magnesium glycinate, sometimes called magnesium bisglycinate. Now, most of us, especially women over 40, are deficient in magnesium, and we're walking around not knowing it. Magnesium does so many things. It literally impacts hundreds of processes in your body, including your sleep quality, your cortisol regulation, insulin sensitivity, and literally hundreds of enzymatic processes. If I could recommend one supplement to basically every woman in midlife, magnesium would be the supplement. It's hard to overstate how foundational it is. Now, vitamin D3 and K2 go together beautifully, and they pair really well with magnesium. And like magnesium, most of us are deficient when it comes to vitamin D and K, especially if you live significantly north or south of the equator, or if you have an indoor lifestyle where you're spending most of your daytime hours inside, or you avoid the sun or use sunscreen. Now, vitamin D, it's technically not a vitamin, it's a hormone precursor, but we don't need to get into that. But what you need to know is that it plays a significant role in metabolic health, immune function, and mood. And take it with vitamin K2 so that it goes to the parts of your body that require it and not where it's not supposed to. Now, omega-3s are another one that I absolutely adore, and pretty much everybody is deficient in them as well. So omega-3s, they're a fatty acid. They are essential to your diet, meaning you have to get them through food or supplementation. Your body cannot produce them on its own. They're anti-inflammatory. They support healthy cell membrane function and improve insulin sensitivity. And if you're not eating good quality fatty fish, things like wild salmon, mackerel, anchovies, and sardines several times a week, then you're probably deficient. So you can start eating those consistently, or you can take a good quality fish oil supplement. It's worth having this in your routine. And finally, there's berberine. And this is a supplement that's worth knowing about. It's a plant compound that works similarly to the drug metformin, and it helps to improve insulin sensitivity and stabilize blood sugar. And the research on berberine is genuinely impressive. It's been used for centuries in traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine. That said, if you're not familiar with any of these supplements and how they might impact you, talk to your own healthcare professional to get advice that's right for you, especially if you're on any kind of medications. Now, I had a client, Sandra, come to me that was completely defeated. She was trying her absolute best. She was eating well. She was going on daily walks. She was doing all the things that she was told to do to be healthy and drop weight in midlife, but she was still gaining weight. She was still exhausted, and she felt like her body had betrayed her. Now, since Sandra was already doing a good job with her eating, we didn't change her diet when I first started working with her, and we didn't add in any more exercise because she was already feeling pushed to the limits with her schedule. What we started with for her was sleep. She was getting 5-6 hours of sleep on an average night. Lots of times it was broken. Lots of times she was getting to bed later than she liked or having to wake up too early. To help her with her sleep and everything else, we added in magnesium, and we introduced legs up the wall every night before she went to bed. We also cleaned up her food storage, so she got a whole new set of storage containers that had no plastics in them. And she said something that I often hear. She said that she finally felt like she was working with her body instead of fighting against it. And the scale started moving for her, which she was thrilled with. But more than anything, she no longer felt like she was at war with herself. She didn't feel like she was the problem anymore. And this is what can happen when you learn how to address the right thing. So here's the one action step for you to try tonight. Before you go to bed tonight, do 10 minutes of legs up the wall. Find a wall, lie down, and put your legs up against it. Set a timer and just simply lay there, breathe, and relax. Some of my clients literally do this in bed at night, lying upside down, and they read a book like that. Set a timer, breathe, relax, and that's it. When you do this, you're activating your parasympathetic nervous system, which is that rest, digest, and repair mode. You're bringing your cortisol levels down, and you're literally sending your body a signal that it's safe. Safe enough for your body to rest, safe enough for it to repair, and safe enough that over time, it can start to let go of the fat that it's been holding on to. 10 minutes tonight. That's it. If this video opened your eyes to what's happening underneath the surface, then I think that you're going to really like this one, because everything that we talked about today directly connects with how restriction actually causes things to backfire in midlife when it comes to weight loss. And this video gives you the full picture on the metabolic side. Fat loss after 40 is not just about your diet and your exercise. It's about whether or not your body has the conditions to actually let go of that excess fat. Tend to those conditions: your sleep, your stress, your lymphatic system, your environment, and everything else gets easier. Your body is not broken. It's just been missing the support that it needs. If you found this video helpful, then please consider subscribing and be sure to like it, because that not only helps me and this channel, but it also helps other women who need to hear this information be able to find it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.